the Simply Winning podcast. This is season 2, episode 12.
Yes, sir.
And we got someone from out of town here today. His name is Kelvin. What's going on, bro?
What up?
Kelvin, how do you say your last name?
Bro. Literally growing up in high school, it got butchered. So it's pronounced Youttitham. Like it's that simple. Okay. But like literally in high school, whenever I would get a call to the office, the principal would just butcher like Youttitham. And then like, literally at the end of the year, he just like, Kelvin, why? Just come to the office.
That's hilarious.
Damn, bro, you don't even want to try one more time?
That's hilarious. So this is like a super improv episode.
Well, yeah, they literally called me, like an hour ago? Riley's like, hey, do you want to do a podcast? I'm like, with who? He's like, Kelvin. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, sure, I'm here. And he's like, can you do it? I'm like, I'm here. Can they do it? Like, are they going to come over and set it up? Like, don't ask me, ask them.
He just flew in too, which is crazy.
Oh, like this morning?
No, I came in last night.
Okay.
10, yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
But they called me and I'm like, sure, I'm working.
I didn't even know that you guys
so.
were going to be at the expo, to be honest.
I didn't know if I was going or not because I got back last night late too. Yeah, I got to the expo at like 11 and then he popped in, was talking to Mook a little bit, and then Mook told me you were coming.
Yeah.
And then we just brought it up. Like Riley was like, yo, you should come on the podcast. And then he was like, yeah, what are you doing today?
So we'll let him give like a full like story of kind of where he's at.
Yeah.
But how do you know him? Because you got to meet him. I got to meet him today for the first time in person, but you went down and filmed. Had 100%. Some cigars with him and the boys down there in Florida. Yeah,
so basically kind of how it worked was everybody on the creative field, you guys know who Kelvin is, obviously, at least the majority I would say would. But we started working with Raw and all the companies around that kind of umbrella essentially. And we went down to Florida, shot a bunch of awesome like just marketing videos, reels, some different content essentially. And then we met up because we talked a little bit before that, but then ended up coming down there and you met Riley, you met Dylan. I think it was just us three. Oh, and Cross, obviously.
Yeah, Cross,
yeah.
I've actually known Cross for a bit.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Because before he was with you guys, he was with Brent.
Yeah.
I think he still is with Brent.
Yeah, he still does like some stuff, yeah, totally. And so we went down there and then kind of hit it off, went out, got some dinner with the boys, did some cigars, drove in.
Cigars.
Yeah,
Italian lifestyle, dude.
Italian lifestyle. We rode in the Bronco,
which
is dope. So yeah, that's kind of how we came to know each other. And then we were just talking like, whenever you're in Nashville, come by the studio, do all this stuff, and then just happened to work out where I got back in town. Everybody's here, so now we're on the podcast. But tell us, like, in your words, like what you do, day to day, like what's your role and that kind of stuff. And then we'll go back to the beginning, kind of how you got there.
So what I do right now, there's two of us now, but I was the original creative director for Raw, Bum Energy, and I was a little bit Revive as well, and then a few other brands. But now I'm just mainly Bum Energy, Raw, and I also work for Cbum, Chris Bumstead. Mm-hmm. I've been working with him for the past almost 8 years now, 7 years total. But I've been with Chris from the very start of his career, and I actually got into Raw and Bum Energy through Chris because Chris kind of like offered me the job to like kind of move down full time with him to Florida, like around 2020, end of 2020, 2021. That's
Where'd you move from?
I moved from, so I'm originally from Vancouver, Canada.
Yeah.
So
that's where he's from?
Yeah. If you guys don't know where that is, that's like 3 hours north of Seattle. And also the way that I moved down to Florida, I drove from Vancouver.
Oh, how many hours was that?
It was driving straight. It's 4 days. It was 200 miles.
So what'd you do? Take a week-long road trip?
Yeah, it was like a 10-day road trip.
Getting a call. Should I take this real quick?
No. We're on a podcast.
Yeah, we're on a podcast. One second, let me just.
So 10-day road trip. Did you hit up national parks and stuff or enjoy it?
So the reason why it took me so long to move is because I was waiting for my Bronco because I had custom ordered it, and
that's sick.
Excuse me. And it was taking a while to get built because Broncos were having that chip issue.
Yeah.
So my car finally got the chip and I got it.
Is that the new Bronco? The ones that had those chip issues and everything?
Yeah.
The newer ones?
So like mine was after all the recalls were done. So I was waiting for mine. I finally got it because it was also a special allocation. Like I had to wait a while. Mm-hmm. And literally I was just like, as soon as I got it, I was like, had it for 3 days. I'm like, all right, we're driving across North America.
You broke it in.
That's crazy.
I broke it in, dude. But I made sure to like have an oil change after every drive because I drove like 500 miles straight. So like you have to like,
Dang.
It's not good
So-
to just drive a car straight like that.
Wow.
Let's clear this up real quick, because I've had people, because like when they knew like we were working with you guys and all that kind of stuff, I had a few people when we go out to events that are videographers and stuff, they're like, so how did Kelvin meet Chris? And I don't have the exact story.
Yeah.
So I had like a version of it, but
Yeah.
I want to hear from you.
So
and then we'll get into your stuff, like all that. Yeah.
So I've actually, I'm going to give you guys a short form version,
Okay.
but like, I've actually have talked about this on our podcast for Raw a while ago, but I'll rephrase it. So I met Chris in 2017, and the way that I got in touch with him is back in Canada, we have a supplement retailer called Popeye Supplements. It's kind of like the Canadian version of Vitamin Shoppe. So I was in sales originally, and then I started doing really well in sales, and then I moved up to marketing. And then I started doing a lot of like the social media content. This is when like social media wasn't really a huge thing back in the day. And that's when I had first picked up a camera. And then through that, like I started getting a lot better with it. And then I moved up to like head of marketing, and I started doing a lot of like of the marketing for the corporate side of like Popeyes. And then after that, they had flown me out to the Olympia, and that was the first time I've ever been to the Olympia. But that was also the first time that Chris had ever competed in the Olympia. So when Chris had turned pro in 2017, that was also the first time that he turned pro, literally won 3 shows back to back, and then competed at the Olympia and placed second.
Yep.
Which is, people don't know this, but like the lowest that Chris has ever placed in his career is like 3rd, which is like crazy, because like any pro is like, that's like insane. So he placed second at the Olympia 2017, and that's when they had flew me out to the Olympia. And I knew of him because he was Canadian, so like I followed him a while ago, and then like we were doing this kind of thing for Popeyes. We were interviewing like a bunch of vendors and stuff like that, and he was one of the vendors. He was originally sponsored by MHP Muscle, or MHP Supplements, and then I interviewed him. I was like, "Oh, dude, big fan." Blah blah blah. Talked to him, interview. I'm like, so what's your plan? Like you just placed second at the Olympia, and you're literally still in college. He's like, I don't really know. Like, he's like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. Like, I still got college, so I got to do that.
Oh my
I was like, cool,
gosh.
man. Well, if you're ever in Vancouver, like, let me know. Like, it'd be dope to just like meet up. And he's like, I'm actually coming down there in like a month. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, what are you doing? And like, oh, I'm doing a guest appearance at one of the local bodybuilding shows. I'm like, oh shit, I work for that organization, so I'll see you there. Month goes by, he comes down. I see him again. I link up with him. And then the show happens, and then like I've already done my job. I've taken my pictures. I go up to him. So like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know. I'm just waiting. I'm like, well, you want a YouTube video? Like, I saw you do YouTube. He's like, I mean, sure. So I made him a YouTube video. Literally the most garbage edit of my life. Like so bad, bro. Like iMovie shit. And he ended up liking it. And then after that, he exchanged contacts. I gave him the video, and then he posted on his YouTube. He loved it. And then we kept in touch through Instagram. And then this is the part that most people miss is, but after that, I knew that he was going to go to the Arnold Classic like a few months after that. And I wanted to go just to like shoot with him again because I really liked it. And then, but I know that Chris is a very shy person, and he's usually like very like not defensive, but just not as like open to like do things.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I made up a complete lie. I was like, hey man, like, just letting you know I'm going to be at the Arnold. Popeyes is flying me out again. He's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah. So if you have any downtime, I'd love to like film for you again. He's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, okay. And then he said yes to it. And I literally went to my mom. I'm like, I was like 19. I had fucking no money to my name. I went to my mom. I'm like, yo, and he's I'm like, I need you to pay for my ticket. I need a hotel. She's like, okay. And then like like she used all of her best Western points, put me in a hotel in Ohio, like an hour away from the convention center.
Oh my god!
Oh no! And Columbus is like wild. It's in the middle of nowhere.
And then paid for my ticket, gave me like $300 cash to like pay for taxis and stuff like that. So I went wearing like my Popeyes jacket and everything. Like, oh yeah, I'm here for Popeyes. And I'm like, oh, by the way, they just told me like they don't need me, so I'm like free to do over the week. She's like, oh, okay, cool. And then literally the second video I ever made for him was a collab with Jay Cutler.
Oh my god!
Okay.
And it was like a workout video. It's still on his YouTube channel and everything. And then ever since that, like we filmed 4 videos that week. And then ever since then, we've just been, the rest has been history. So I've just
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that shows like creating the opportunity to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's like the biggest thing. Like you never know what's going to happen, but like if you just send it, essentially, it might work out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's kind of always been my character. It's just like, I'm never really one to shy away from something. Like I'm also just like a very curious person by nature. So I was just like, oh, this is an idea. And like, I felt bad at the time because I was lying to him that like, work was sending me out here, but I knew that if I told him that like I was going for other reasons other than just him, it would probably make him feel a little bit more comfortable. So that's why I did it, and then it worked out even great. And then ever since then, like From 2018, I didn't really film too much of his prep because that's also when he was going through his health complication that he had with his autoimmune. But 2019 is when I really started filming him. So I started from 2019. I filmed every single prep up until now, obviously, present day.
And we'll talk about a little bit about that in a little while because that's pretty cool.
What did he say whenever you told him? Like, did you tell him this story and like what did he say?
He didn't actually know that until like 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he didn't. What did he say? That. He's just like, I didn't even know that. He's like, that's kind of funny. I was like, yeah, I know.
That's legit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like it's a big story with a lot of people. Where like you just gotta do what you gotta do to get there, and then once you're there, it's up to you. It's like that's kind of like what happened with us. Like we went out and paid for our flights and like stayed and did this whole thing with the Super Bowl a long time ago before Brother Dale. It's what kind of sparked it all. And it was just out on a whim, go there and see what you can make of it, and then we made some connections, and it just happened. But that's awesome. So what made you get into like video and like photography and all that stuff? Like what was the first thing that like sparked your interest in like picking up a camera?
It was mainly like, if I were to really go back, so what caused me to pick up a camera was my work with Popeyes when I was doing marketing. But what really actually got me into it is I was like, I don't know why, but like I was obsessed with National Geographic and like those magazines.
Oh, dude,
and I started watching a bunch of those. Like, dude, I had like the DVDs of like BBC Earth, of like those documentaries of like the planet and stuff like that. And I thought that shit was just so cool.
Yep.
And then like I just had like, I loved all those pictures of like, you know, bison out in the field in the wild, like all those photos.
Dude, they're so crisp. They're so good.
I'm like, this is so cool. Like I wanted, that's actually still one of my creative goals is to be a National Geographic photographer, just like as a, not even for money, just like as a cool thing.
It's like a side quest.
But that's why, that's why I got into it. It's just like, I love the aspect of just like taking a really good picture and like the concept of just like sitting there for 8 hours waiting for like the animal just to cross your lens. I just thought that was super fucking cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's dope. So what was like you were obviously filming for Popeyes. Like what was like your first like paid gig with like a camera? Where you're like, okay, this is pretty freaking cool. Like, I'm
first
getting paid for this.
Gig, I think it was after I had filmed a few videos at the Arnold for Chris. That's when people kind of knew that like, oh, like I didn't even know that you do that for Chris. So like there was a local gym in BC. Well, not local, 45 minutes from me, but a gym that was coming up called West Coast Iron. And a lot of the bodybuilders there knew that I was doing some stuff for Chris. So I would do these like little like photo shoots here and there. But like I never, like back in the day, dude, when I'm talking like 2018, 2019, like retainers and like all that stuff never really existed. It was kind of like shoot to shoot basis. So I did a lot of just like photo based stuff. My video stuff was not really that strong. It was all just mainly photo based because like photos is just much more simpler, right? Like especially for us, we can just turn that shit on and just click it now. You know, it's second nature to us.
It's crazy.
So yeah, it was mainly just like those photo shoots. But like as far as gigs go, like my first big one was probably, honestly, it was probably when Chris signed with Gymshark and they had asked me to take some photos for him.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Did like a commercial shoot with Chris.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a commercial shoot. Like I had a bunch of people. It was like, hey, can you take some photos for Chris? I'm like, oh fuck yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, sure. I did it, and they liked it. I'm like, do you guys like the way that it's color graded? They're like, yeah, it's fine. It's great, dude. We love your stuff. I'm like, oh, shit, okay.
That's hilarious. Isn't that kind of funny? Like you, like the artist and you like wants to like get all the colors right and all the stuff, and then people when they see it, they're like, oh, it's dope.
Yeah.
And they don't like go into like the details of everything that you did for it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a funny aspect, especially if you're like into that thing. You know what I mean? Which is pretty funny. But so yeah, what were we gonna say?
I just like I'm just building up on that, but like I just, for me, from a creative standpoint, I've always loved like looking at like, and this is the stuff that also slows me down as a creative, is I am so much in tune with the fine details of everything.
Oh, for sure.
And like, I actually was talking to my friend about this, Carly. She actually
we know Carly. Yeah.
I absolutely love Carly.
She's so good.
She's one of the best I call her documentary photographers because she's so good at capturing the moment. But I was talking about how like even over the past few years, like there was the one thing that I always went through, like working with Chris, is I thought like I couldn't validate myself as a good content creator because I thought people only like my content because I work for Chris. And now over the years, I started to realize like, no, I'm actually like a good content creator. You know, it's one of those things because I was so invested in my work that I didn't actually like take a step back to appreciate like the stuff that I do, like from a content standpoint, because it was always tailored to someone else and something else. You know?
That makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe like speak that maybe even like a little bit more like it's almost like your identity is hidden in that, and you might be, I guess, convincing yourself like, I haven't done enough because I'm working with this individual that might overshadow me.
Yeah.
but yeah, you do have good work. Like your stuff is, and people do know who you are, and they look up to you in the space. I was at World Strongman, like however long ago that was, maybe 2 months ago, and there's a bunch of videographers and stuff, and we met quite a few of them over the years doing different stuff, and they would start talking about you, and because I think probably one of our photos on Instagram or whatever it was, and they're talking about your stuff. They're like, yeah, he's like he kills it, all this stuff, and they were like giving you a lot of praise. I'm like, yeah, like the dude's good at what he does. Like it's not just all the bodybuilding stuff. Like he does more than that, which is pretty cool.
I think, and I think any creative can agree with me. There's always going to be a part in your life when, as a creative, you're always going to second guess your work all the time. No matter if you shoot with like the companies that you guys shoot for, there's always going to be a part of you that's going to be like, fuck, is this good enough? Because you know that there's going to be another multimedia company that's like killing it. Like if you make your guys' videos for like example Rain, and then you compare yourself to like another company, like I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but like Red Bull or like all these other huge companies, you're like, damn, look at their ad. Like bro just jumped from the moon. Like how do we make a video that sick? And then you second guess yourself, like how do I get to that point? So then you start to question, like, am I actually capable of doing that? And I think that's just the finite of like how we are as a creatives. Like you're always going to compare yourself because we have such quick access to social media. So you're always just like scrolling like shit.
Well, true. And now more than ever, it's like based on people look at your creative as far as the results it got on social media or ads or whatever, not so much how just good it is. It's because like, years ago, it was like people actually more than ever, I believe in now, like actually bought prints. They would like make a photograph. They might spend hours like trying to get the perfect shot. Then they edit it and they get it blown up and they sell it and stuff like that. Right. And it's about the art, where like nowadays it's pretty much about, social media likes and engagement and stuff like that.
The same way that people, especially in the sport of bodybuilding, the same way that people compare themselves to other people and their bodies is the same way that creatives we compare ourselves with other creatives when you see like a sick reel. So it's the same concept, but we look at it from a different standpoint.
Totally.
So like you're constantly comparing yourself to like, damn dude, like that edit was sick. Like, why can't I be that good?
Yeah.
Like, and like a girl is like, damn, she's so fit. Like, why can't I be like her? It's the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's something that all creatives will deal with.
Yeah. And the way we try to operate too, like that gives you like a real good just spot to sit in and not stay in that comparison, is like you just sit there and like this, like a company like Monster or whoever it is can work with whoever. So if you go into each project, like I want, like everybody might be going for this, same job. Like we're going to kill it and we're going to do as much as we can to make sure that we're putting forth that effort every single time. And if you go into it with that thought every single time, your work gets better, everything gets better. And I think that's a good way to go about it, I feel like. But yeah, you're always going to like compare and do those kind of things. But if you believe that you can work with the biggest brands or work with the biggest project, whatever it is, if you want that, then you got to operate like that on the little things across the board, no matter what. And then you get that confidence and that experience and everything. And then all of a sudden you're on a massive shoot, 3 years later that you didn't know you would ever be there, but you are, because you did all those little things every single day.
Simply winning.
Yeah. I feel like the more that you try and fight for something that isn't meant for you right now, the more you're just going to push yourself away from it. Like you have to focus on all the other things that you can create and projects you can do now, rather than trying to win that one that you really want to do. Because maybe right now is not the right time for you to do it, but you got to learn all the other stuff before you get to that point. Which is why, like, from a creative standpoint, like, okay, sure, you can't shoot for Formula One yet, but you have the option to go shoot for like NASCAR or something else. So work on that, right? As long as you're building the skills to like get to that point, that's all that matters. You can't just aim for the big fish right away.
100%. And you got to enjoy the small things, because if you enjoy those, like it goes back to this whole thing that I like cars a lot, but I'm like, if you can't take care of your Kia Rio when you don't have any money and you don't take care of it, you let it be dirty, whatever. If you get a Lamborghini one day, it's going to be the exact same thing. You are what you are. So it doesn't change. If you are messy in a small apartment, you're going to be messy in a big house.
100%.
It is what it is.
100%.
So yeah, if you can just, dial it down and be happy with that stuff and take care of that stuff, the big things you'll be able to take care of.
Yeah. Now, like I said, you're paying attention to the small details. Cause just an example today, I went and shot those photos and then I came back and like, we had to shoot at this like church pond. So the way we shot it, there was like a bunch of light posts and like signs in the background or cones. Like for 150 photos, I went in and did, remove all of that stuff so it looked like it was more in nature on all of those. And did it take me an extra probably hour at least? Yep. Yeah, but like it's going to be way better. It's going to just feel better for the client, for the person, because they're not going to feel like they're just going to feel like it's in nature more, right? And it's 100%. Stuff like that just changes the game. Someone could have slapped their color changes on there, maybe did a few tweaks and been done. But no, I like want to make sure that it's like at least as good as I could have made it from what I have. You know what I'm saying?
No, definitely. I mean, like every piece of creative, you have to like try to be better than the next one, or the last one you did. And if you can just do that, and it's hard to do because it just takes extra effort. But if you do it, then all of a sudden it just compounds, and a year later, 2 years later, you're so much better. Mm-hmm. It's just insane how that works. But it takes effort, not being lazy, actually being passionate about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And we were speaking earlier, and like we were talking about how you actually really do enjoy filmmaking, the camera side of everything, the editing, all the stuff, and you would do it even if you weren't getting paid for it. Yeah, which is pretty cool.
I like, and this is where it's unique because I feel like with you guys are so good and effective of being able to handle multiple stuff. Mm-hmm. So, and that's like, just to also touch upon that too. Like, I think with what you're saying, like going the extra mile to like paint out all those brushes and like all those like things out of that picture, like no matter if it's a client or retainer, like they notice that shit. Like they 100%. Will, and like if you approach every project with that amount of enthusiasm, they're gonna feel it. Like, damn, like he really went and that little bit of enthusiasm, they feel that could go a mile away. Like, hey, let me connect you with this person. You're affiliated with XYZ. That is what that project that you wanted a long time ago.
100%.
Yeah, like from my standpoint, like you guys are very effective at like, here's a project, here's the deadline, get it done. Whereas like me as a creative, I'm way more like, I'm not like that type of person that like it needs to get turned over and like execute like that. Mm-hmm. I'm much more of a slower pace. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting fucking older. I don't know.
No.
But like, I think for the past 2 years being with Raw Bum Energy, it was like a lot for me because like it was all just basically brand work and there was very little storytelling. And like the days that I really enjoy like being creative was when I was just with Chris and like my only obligations were literally just like document for his YouTube. And that's when I enjoyed it because I could actually see like a story coming to place and I could be a lot more methodical with just one thing. And with Raw Bum Energy, which was great about it is that it taught me how to be super effective and super efficient. But there was a little part of me that like lost that storytelling part because like you can only storytell so much with a brand, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you have like a brand ethos, then you can follow that a little bit better. But at the end of the day, like your job is to take X project, turn it into X deliverable, right? Whereas like with Chris, it's like I'm taking subject and showing his story. Mm-hmm. So it's different. So my creative process is a lot more of like, I like to base everything off of storytelling, which is what I'm starting to get back into. Of project, which I can't talk about right now.
Yeah. So I was gonna say this, that one that we can't speak about. It's long form, obviously. Mm-hmm. So you enjoyed the long form stuff much more, right? Yeah. You mentioned that, and that project's gonna be fun. I don't know how much, you can't really say too much about it, but it's exciting. So
essentially, what I can say is this project has been something I think most creatives like the culmination of what they want to do. Mm-hmm. Like as a true, I guess you could say like storyteller, this is what everyone would want to do. And it's been something that's been in the works for, I guess you could say for the past 7 years. Because when I started with Chris, I've always wanted to have some type of like, whenever he decides to like end off his career, like I've always wanted to have some big, massive like thing for him at the end. And
it's like a finale almost. Yeah.
And like, this is like, I mean, I've been documenting his life for the past 7 years. I think it's almost 64 terabytes of his life on a drive, which is like insane. And like when I say like everything, I mean like you could go into the drive and it'll literally say the metadata, like 2017 filmed on February 2nd, 7:18 p.m. Like everything to the T. So like culminating all of that into one is like that's where my passion lies in too, is like being able to like actually be very methodical, like the way that I want to like create. I guess you could say. I love the brand stuff and I respect anyone, especially you guys, being able to like just have all these retainers and fucking do that. I can't do that. That's just like, I don't have, my ADHD is not like that shit,
Well, I mean, it takes practice. Like we've done it for a long time, even before Brother Dale, when we were freelancing and we were working together on other stuff. And we were fortunate to work with a lady, Angie Wyatt, shout out on the podcast.
She's actually in town. You know that? For the CMA Fest.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So she ran a marketing company in Illinois where we kind of started off, and it wasn't the it wasn't our vision for a marketing company or the creative we wanted to do, but the aspect behind it, the training, the deadlines, how fast we had to set up stuff. Like we had to set up cameras really quick, catch the moment, everything for years. And it taught us how to be able to hit those deadlines, how to operate under pressure, all of that stuff. And then growing Brotherdail through all that stuff with like retainers and small like reels and having to like figure out branding and make it look cool. It just took practice, and it's still like, it's a challenge every day, but it's fun.
This is a question out of my curiosity.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys probably asked the question, but like, have you guys, either of you ever wanted to take approach? Like let's say you guys build Brotherdail to like this massive thing that you guys want. Would you guys say after that, you want to take a step back and actually lean into more of like an actual creative process, like building something like a lot slower pace, more storytelling based? Or do you guys actually truly enjoy like the fast-paced, like efficient, like X deliverable, like the more business approach to creative rather than the storytelling base?
Ooh, yes. You want to answer first? I have an answer for it, but
let's just
yours will probably be different than mine.
It will happen where we'll build this up and then we'll move on to something else eventually. It'll probably still be in the creative field, but I think it would be more of the long form. It'd be more, in my opinion, like documenting more of. I guess we're documenting everything now, so it'd be more like storytelling with the content we have, but also teaching everyone else like how to do this more effectively, like really thinking out YouTube videos or things like that actually are just more than just plopping down and talking to the camera. Build a brand around all the years we put in, so that way we can help others. I think.
I think a big thing. Next will be a lot of like teaching creatives how to not be broke when they're wanting to do, what they love to do.
But it's hard to do when we have all this going on because because to do that, I want to focus just on that. I don't want to have to worry about 30 plus monthly clients getting all the content done. I want to be able to like literally, doesn't matter with the money, just focus on giving as much value, and then everything else will fall into place. If we ever do a course or pop-ups or whatever. I want to lean into that more for sure as time goes on.
100%. For me, I want, and it's like the first time on a podcast or anybody actually heard this besides Dylan, and I talked to you about it a little bit, but I want to do like a straight up documentary about the whole process of building this thing. So it'll be that long form. I don't know how long it'll be, maybe an hour, whatever. Yeah, maybe episodes. Maybe cut down to episodes, but just a documentary, like the whole process. We have footage from everything from day one, even before. Like I used to vlog every single day. So like I just wanted to put something together of like showing like literally the struggle all the way up and how many challenges there were and the good times and the hard times and all of it. That would be something I want to do, but it'll be something down the line where we have time to sit down and like actually put it together. But
tell the whole story, talk to the camera, then show clips and go back and like really show the whole thing.
Because it's like,
be cool for our kids to see one day.
It would be. It's the craziest like journey with like the most ups and downs and challenges and just all type of things. And I want to like be able to document that.
It's funny. You guys very much remind me of two people in the creative space. One is full-time filmmaker.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you guys are like trying to X multiplier to them, but also I see like the business side of it. You guys probably know about like Jacob Owens.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I talked to him.
He is a fucking legend. He is probably one of the most
he's one of the
sophisticated entrepreneurs in the creative space I've ever like seen ever. Like, dude, he has 10 locations.
He's a move maker,
and the lenses and all the stuff they do.
Yeah, his locations alone make almost like 6 figures a month or a week, if anything. And then he's got Prism Lens Effect. He's got like, dude, he's
the Tropicolor hard drive you get sent with all the LUTs and stuff.
His story and how he started too, because I follow. He's one of the guys that inspired me to like start doing this stuff. Him and like a few other guys like Casey and all of them, but he's like. He started with like nothing, like a small camera, did music videos, and then just was able to build up stuff. And then and this is something I always tell people, like it's the vehicle. Like if you truly love creative, then you can do it forever, but also use it as a vehicle to be able to do other business moves. And it could be in the creative space like Jake, and where he went in there and then saw like, hey, there's a need for places for people to film. Built that out, started doing real estate, and then built out the whole Prism Lens Effects, where he just realized nobody's building things for cameras that can make cool effects in camera.
And you know, the great part about that too, he's doing all of that so that he can do more of what he wants, which is the storytelling, slower pace stuff.
Yes.
All that's generating money.
I talked to him on Instagram like literally 2 weeks ago. And I DM'd him, I'm like, because he was filming, is a clip of him filming a music video for somebody. And I was like, yeah, dude, that's really cool that you're still filming. You don't have to. You have you don't have to do anything if you didn't want to, but you're still out there doing that. So yeah, I just enjoy like actually.
Cool. Well, what I was going to say, we've talked about this where Gosh dang, I forgot what I was gonna say. That sucks.
That's funny.
Dude, no way. I just forgot it
You're good.
twice.
It's been a busy week. That's awesome.
It'll come back to me.
No worries.
Oh, I know what it was. This is one of the only industries like I really feel in the creative world where you can literally, we talked about this, how it's going to lead to our other business ventures. Like, let's say we wanted to get into real estate. We can literally pivot or like start creating content around that of homes and stuff to sell if we wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Or have our own investments about build this unique Airbnb. We make a ton of content for it and ads, have an own platform where you can do bookings. Or if we wanted to launch a product, we have a team that can do it. We have marketing and creative team that can do it. But also the connections you make. Like if we wanted to get our foot in the door with like to write a book, then we could start creating with some publications or authors. You could just literally reach out to them, start making content and make connections in that industry and then do something yourself within it. It's hard to do that when you're in the medical field or whatever. Like you can literally go to any industry and make content nowadays because everyone needs it. There's really not a company that doesn't need content in a sense. There may be different levels of how they do it, or they don't do paid media. They just do branding or magazine work and stuff. Like some luxury brands, they don't really do paid ads, but they still need creative, right? But every company more than ever needs content at some degree because more phone usage than ever in the planet, laptop, screen time, screens built, it's crazy.
I think it also like speaks to when creators are starting their career and doing all this stuff. If you want to get into other things like that, like what we're doing here, it's leverage because you're building that credibility and you're building that network and all those things. So whenever you do want to do something different, you can go back to your network, call whoever you need because you met those people, and then you can go into whatever business you want to do.
The word creative if you were to take the word creative now, I think the word creative like 5 years ago, completely different word. Creative different. Back in the day was just photo and video. But now creative is like marketing, graphics, video, photo,
website,
post-production,
email,
website, e-com, like all that stuff. And that's why like creatives we're such a Swiss Army knife because a lot of what we do is digital, right? And all of it revolves around the same thing, which is a camera, right? Like you can't make a graphic until you take a picture of something, right? You're not going to use stock images because that's like, I mean, you can, but
somebody took a photo.
Yeah,
with that,
someone took a photo. Like it all revolves around that. So like you were saying, like it's so, dude. Like if I literally said, "Hey, Chris, fuck you," I'm gonna go film weddings. I can. Yeah. Like it's just
and be successful.
I'm never gonna do that.
Yeah, but you could.
I'm saying, like that's why like it's there's really like little excuse to like as a creative to be like, oh, I can't make I can't make money.
I know,
like,
dude. Yeah,
you can. You gotta teach yourself that.
And that's the interesting part. Like, and this is like my biggest pet peeve. And it's not really a big deal. It's just kind of funny to me when people are like, oh, hey, yeah, you're the videographer. And I'm like, yes, I am. Like that's a skill. That we allows us to do things and have new opportunities and all this stuff. But it does come back to like, I'm a videographer, but you're an entrepreneur. Like you are making moves. If you look at it that way, it's like, it's a business. You have the network, you have the people you're talking to, like it's more than just turn a camera on, the settings and then do your stuff. And that's like something it's just funny in the outside of the creative field, people look at you and they're like, oh yeah, you're the videographer. It's like, no, there's so much more that goes into that. There's countless meetings, there's emails, there's like thinking, brainstorming, like strategy, everything that goes into it.
I think that's the hardest part about what we do. And you probably get to do it maybe a little more because you're more, again, storytelling. We don't get to sit back and just creatives need time to like sit, like literally not do the creative stuff. So then you can go be creative because you need to think about what's next. But there's literally just one thing after another, after another, after another, after another. And it's just like, you don't have time to like sit there and just think and be creative.
I know you hate this word, but like, so burnout. I love real because I've listened to Michael talk about it.
I love it.
So obviously in order to avoid that and like to slow down, you need a lot of people, which you guys have a big team now. But like, how are you guys, like if you guys get to a point where you have multiple retainers and like they're like, hey, we want you to really like lean into this project and you need to slow down, like how do you guys actually step back and do that? Because like it's so much of like what you guys have to do is so go. And like how can you actually take a step back and be like, all right, I need to really think about this project. Like they really want us to execute on like the visuals or the cinematics of it. Yeah. Like how do you guys slow down? Because I know as in human nature and biology, that switch, as soon as you walk through these doors, a switch turns on. So how do you guys dial back and be like, I need to slow the fuck down a little bit. And like
so like now it's basically just structure. Like you just have to have the right systems in place if you're doing this kind of stuff, because everything's always so hectic. But if you have the right systems and like the right team, you can structure it to where, hey, like I'm just focusing on this project for the next 2 weeks, and that's what I'm going to be doing. And me and whoever else, maybe 3 guys out of the team, we're just focusing on this. To where if we want to go shoot and do the production, we'll bring in more guys to actually do it. But the 3 people that are over, or the 1 person that's over it, that's directing the whole thing, was able to slow down and kind of focus on that more. And like you can't, we're at a point right now where like none of us can just focus on one project all the time, but we can definitely dial it back to where one person has the majority of the focus to be able to dial and make it look good. That's probably the best answer I would say right now.
Best.
Well,
I feel like the only
that's why he's still doing way more creative than I do, because that's when I gotta like look at everything from a view.
Right.
Like he's went from, it was just him and I, and he obviously knew everything about the clients, where now I feel like half the clients, you don't even really technically know what's being worked on, because
it's crazy.
Unless we're on the meetings going over all the clients we do on our Monday and Friday meetings. But like the job we're trying to make is he just focuses on being creative and working on the creative projects and trying not to be on sales call. Like he's really not on many sales calls at all anymore. He just doesn't need to be, because Tyler and I can handle that. There's no need. If there's a way that we can structure it to where he can just do more of that, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. That was a big switch probably about 2 years ago, where like we realized like, we both can't be on this stuff. So you gotta do more admin stuff. You have to, and then I have to do more of this stuff because,
and we both enjoy the ones we do more of now. We both enjoy it, so it's not like I really just wish I was on set all the time, which I still love it. Last 2 weeks I've had to fill in a way more, like in the studio and stuff, and edit and things like that, which I still enjoy it. It's just I gotta make sure I get all my other stuff done too.
Yeah, so. and I enjoy like sales meetings and doing all that kind of stuff and connecting. I love the networking aspect of it and like connecting people and then connecting them with the right people. I really do enjoy that, but you get to a point where you can't do all of that stuff. So
plus he's just better at creative and I'm better at admin, just because
it's
more organized. He's more creative for sure.
He's way more
talented on that end.
Second methodical question for you then.
I love this. This is cool.
How do you take a step back to like gain your ideas? Do you like, okay, I gotta wake up at 10 a.m.
Yes.
I gotta meditate. I'm making jokes. Yeah. Like I gotta slow down. I gotta how do you like find inspiration through like watching other videos? Like how do you like take a step back and get your inspiration to like create and execute a project that X client is wanting?
Yeah.
Like, hey, like for example, like I want this scene to be a vintage diner with like a vintage Firebird car, or like Firebird car. I don't know what the fuck that is, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like a old Ford, or like how do you draw that? Do you watch movies? Do you watch YouTube videos? Or do you just look at pictures? Like how do you go about the methodical part of like building story?
Yeah,
or building
bro.
something like that, an idea.
First of all, it's a great question. For me, because we're always on the go, but I try to take at least one day in the week. It's normally like a Saturday or a Sunday, and I'll basically go and
wash
my car. I'll drive. I drive. I'll have like a down day where I don't like to sit at home and like just sit there. I'll go and do the things I enjoy, and I'll think about whatever project or whatever it is in my head. And then I'll also, like, if I want to like a long drive, like yesterday I was talking to Dylan and I was thinking about a project that's coming up or what we shot, but then I was thinking about how I'm going to edit it and what it's going to look like. And I'll have it in my head, and then it's weird to say, but I'll have like my subconscious just like kind of think about that, and I'll come back to it later on when I have the free time. But yeah, it's just taking like one day where you don't do a lot of stuff, but you do the things you enjoy, and then just start thinking about everything. And that's probably the best thing that I do. But then I also I watch a lot of content, and then I'll save it to like a saved like folder on Instagram or whatever platform it is, and then I'll watch all these different things and just take inspiration from those things. And like movies, and I've been blessed with I wouldn't call it photographic memory. I'd call it's very close to that, where I can see a shot and I'll remember the exact angle. I remember the exact how it was shot, everything. And that's how I passed.
It's like visual memory.
Yeah, Spanish class. I would just remember the conversation. So I'd memorize the whole thing. I didn't know what I was saying. I would just do that. So I can see those things, which is it's amazing for the creative field, which is great. But yeah, that's like probably how I would do it, because the schedule's just crazy sometimes.
It's so interesting because like when you look at the core root of that, it's creativity. You want to open that? Here we go.
Is that us or was that next door?
Come in, friend. Oh, did
Oh,
you?
it's probably package. Or
Could
Dylan.
be. Oh, it's Mook. It's Mook.
Sorry, you were talking.
No, yeah. So it's so interesting.
They can come in here.
Is it Mook?
So interesting.
Hang on.
Just keep
I
going.
got my thought. I'm not.
Here, hold the thought. I'm gonna call Mook real quick.
Yeah.
And we'll throw him on the podcast. He says he's here.
Well, let's wrap. This one's probably at 40, so let's wrap this up.
Yeah, I've one more.
Well, I want to
question.
ask him about his stuff.
Okay, cool. I was calling you.
Yo, what up?
Yo, the boys are in the house. What's up?
We're walking through this building.
Yeah.
I didn't push on any doors. This is the only fucking door I tried to open. I was like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't try to open the random doors.
That's crazy. That's great. We got like 5 more minutes in this podcast.
Okay.
It'll be solid.
What I was saying is like, so your step process was like you wake up not like later, but like you
Yeah.
wake up a little bit later,
Yep.
and you slow down, and that just shows that like in human nature that like you genuinely do need to slow down to like think more methodically
Yes.
because like when you come in here you're thinking about like 10 30 different things, so your thought process from like a creative standpoint it is completely gone because you're trying to focus on so many different micro things that you can't focus on the major thing, which is like that one idea.
Yeah.
So you have to like slow down and allow your brain to literally just like slow down and think about other concepts and stuff like that.
So is that what you do for storytelling?
What I do, so it's different, right? Because like what I do with Chris is like I don't think about anything that I do with him because he's also the type of person that like I don't know what the fuck I'm filming any day. But like what I always try to do with him is I try to put myself in the best position to capture whatever I can, and then I kind of build a story from that, right? Because like a lot of what I do is a lot more documentary based. So like one of my mentors that I like praise to this day, Mark Bone, who's on this project with me, his biggest thing with documentary filmmaking is the best way to tell a story is allowing life to unfold. So the more that you can be present for those moments to capture, the better that your story is going to be. So rather than trying to manufacture a story,
Well, then it's not really documenting.
exactly,
You're
right? Like
creating
at the end of the day,
something.
like any type of documentary filmmaking, you have to show what's actually happening. If you try to manufacture it, you're gonna tell that it's not real, right? So like that's usually how I go about it. So like, and like, of course, I think like, okay, like what is this shot gonna be? But like, I think from a technical standpoint, from my skill set, like I'm able to show it in the way that I need to make it portray a certain mood. But a lot of what I'm focusing on is like, okay, I'm ready to be present there with Chris and like really be invested in my subject, which is him. And then I can really feel what he's feeling and figure out the best way to film. Like for example, if he's having like a rough day and he's not like feeling himself, I know that I need to give him some distance. So what am I going to do? I'm probably going to shoot pretty tight, but go from like 70. I'm not going to be up close, but that will allow me to give that feeling of depth of like he's in solitude and needs to be by himself, and that will show in the YouTube video. You know, it's like that's like the way that I kind of think about.
That's
that
cool.
Yeah, that's
in my
really
process.
cool. That's a very cool aspect to think about from the other side because we don't do as much long form. So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
And I think going back to like the being able to get your creative thoughts and like understand that you got to just remember like doing all the content and everything every single day. It's not natural. Like we weren't built, like we weren't born like biologically to like, that's a big word, to do all this every single day. Like your brain's not meant for it. So you do have to take those days, one day or whatever, however your process works or your schedule, but to slow down and be able to recharge and be able to become more creative.
Yeah.
And I think that's,
So you do believe in burnout?
no, and I was going to get to that. So that's the thing though. I think people label burnout. It's not actually, because you don't just like, oh, I'm burnt out, I'm never going to do this again. And that's what a lot of people believe, and that's what they do in life.
You're burnt out because you hate it.
Exactly.
You're resenting it.
Is that you're resenting it. So I think they're confused with burnout with being either too overwhelmed, tired, something's wrong in the process. So burnout's not real. It's just like it's an alarm that's saying, hey dude, like you might want to just change something, take a step back for a second, don't take a step back forever, like regain yourself and then go forward. And that's how every single like person that's super successful has done that stuff. Like Elon, freaking Amazon guy, whatever his name is, Jeff Bezos. Like if you look at their stories, they're all the same. It's trying to do an extreme thing, and then they have to break it down into those steps. And
that's cool. That's a good way to look at it for sure.
Yeah,
100% agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
So to ask you this question, we ask you at the end of every podcast. So it's called Simply Winning, and the goal is like to unpack stories and to talk about how you literally, the steps you did to win where you're at now, right? And it's this process of, you know, day in, day out work, grueling effort, long nights, early mornings type of stuff, right? So what have you done over the years to just simply win in your creative space? How would you put it, or give advice of a way to that you do it?
Yeah, or in your personal life.
Yeah.
Deep questions.
Because a lot of people think you have to really, you have to dive into this one thing. If you do it right, you're going to be successful. And that's not really the case. You don't get this one, you don't do one thing real, like, and it just works out, right? It's a lot of effort over time.
Well, if you're a creative and you already know that you want to be in this field, because so this out of this one book that it's called the Creative Way of Being by Rick Rubin, and he says creativity is an expression of how you view the world. So if that's the way that you want to go about life, and if all you want to do is express how you want to like creatively show that, whether if it's through painting, taking photos, making videos, I think the best thing that you can do is lean into what you actually want to do in it. If you want to be a wedding filmmaker, then do that, right? If you want to make just brand work, then do that. But like the same way that I met Chris, like you kind of just need to take a chance. Like if and you kind of like not like lie your way through, but the way that I met Chris is because like I just knew that like I wanted to document something. And I thought that because I followed him and I thought bodybuilding was cool, I wanted to document that. So I kind of went for it, right? Like you have to really, at the end of the day, like having a monetary goal for everything is great. But I think I'm a much different creative than you guys, where I really like to showcase life at its purest form. And the way I like doing that is documenting. So like if that's the way that you want to go from a storytelling standpoint, then go that way. But if you genuinely just want to make cool ass videos, then go with that. But you have to really put yourself out there in the position like, okay, I want to make dope videos. Figure it out, dude. Do a spec. Dude, this world that we live in with creatives, you can do absolutely anything and you can collaborate with anyone. You can't sit here and tell me that you don't live in a city that there's no other creatives. You can do it.
Yep.
You know, so like, and if you want to storytell something, it doesn't have to be 5-time Mr. Olympia. You could simply make a short documentary on like fucking Uncle Joe's bakery down the street and ask him like how long he's had this bakery for.
Yep.
How do you make fucking sourdough? What's the difference between sourdough and rye bread? Why do you make fucking croissants other than muffins? You know, like there's so many different ways that you can storytell something.
Yeah.
You just have to find it.
Yeah.
Like there's 8 fucking billion people on this planet. Everyone has a unique story.
That's true.
And you can show it. You just have to really try.
Appreciate it. That's true.
go.
And then that creative will lead into your next thing because people talk, the referrals, all that stuff, and it's a snowball effect eventually.
Everyone's life is unique, and I think the one way that you can really reach people is showing the uniqueness, because everyone's story is always unique, and there's so much more related. But we all as individuals, we all are connected in some way. This sounds so fucking philosophical. I'm not even.
No, I love it.
But like for example, like how you guys were talking about how like you know you kind of can second guess your work. That means we all have the same issues. So like if you voice more of like what you're actually going through, you'd be surprised how much more people can relate to that. Like for example, Vaughn, he started Blank because a lot of what he does is because his brand is represented on like men's mental health. And like more people relate to that because men's mental health is a fucking serious thing. Not a lot of people talk about it. And the reason why people relate to him is because of that. So the more that you can put your story out there and what you're trying to tell, that's how people can relate to you. And that's how you're going to essentially win.
That's good.
That's really
Dropping
good.
knowledge bombs here at the end.
I know. It's the bums getting them off a bean. No, and the last question, because people are going to kill me if I don't ask this question.
Oh God.
This might be, we'll keep it short, but what right now, or I guess whenever, what's your go-to camera?
Oh, fuck off. I have a complete camera identity crisis right now. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life. But so I just had the red Komodo. Love that camera, but I also don't want to shoot 1 minute worth of 30 gigs of footage. So right now, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying it. But my go-to camera is the FX6. 24-70, 24-70 G Master.
Yes.
Sennheiser
That's the best
416.
lens in the world, in my opinion.
The 35 is pretty good, but whatever.
Actually, Sigma just come out with a 28 to 55 millimeter f1.8,
which is insane.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's crazy good.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, 'cause it was the first day he had it, or the second. I don't even know. But when we came down, you just got the camera.
Yeah.
And he hated it because he didn't know how to use it.
Well, he was always talking about Canon and all that stuff and Red, but then it came down.
I mean, you can't say too much. Ours just literally just stopped working.
That is true. Yeah, we are talking about this. It's very.
So it literally just stopped working.
But we do have the rentals right over there, so we're good.
You can't be too stubborn with your tools when it's creative. Like it's just again, it's just a tool.
Exactly.
Bro,
and you got insurance for a reason.
I have zero respect for my cameras, literally, because you have to either give the shot. If it breaks, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's
get a new
awesome.
one. Yeah,
Thanks for coming on, bro. Thanks for making time.
Yo, before you end the podcast, Mook, you want to hop on here real quick? Just a little guest appearance. Bonnie, just say hi. That's it. The boys walked in, didn't see you on camera. Bonnie, you want to just hop on set like right here? Yeah, say what's up.
That's what the knocking was.
Yeah, it was the knocking on
the door. We just paused for like a second, but
here, you can sit on that thing.
What's up, boys?
The boys are in town. Let me see if I can get this thing off of here real quick. Excuse the audio pop, probably. Really.
this is not.
This is very.
We don't do this often.
Very
just having random
appearances.
The whole podcast kind of was very last minute. How was the trip?
It's been good. Got in at like 1 a.m. So negative.
That's your fault though.
Negative sleep.
Negative sleep. How was your trip?
Not too bad. I actually made my flight, so I got in on time.
I had a doctor's appointment.
So yeah, because we all went to you guys are flown for the fitness expo, right?
Yeah,
Is that like the only thing this trip, or you guys have more stuff you're doing?
Pretty much just that.
That's cool.
Going out a little bit tonight, but
That's what I heard. We might end
annual outing.
We might end up going with you guys. We like the Morgan Wallen bar.
I'm gonna get white girl
Do it. But you fly out in the morning, right?
No, I fly at 6:47 p.m.
Oh, p.m.
Yeah,
That's the problem. Like, see, we're flying because you changed the flight.
we changed. our
That's
flight,
smart. That's way smart because
Behind a little bit.
yeah,
I thought it was Friday.
because we gotta
Fly out in the morning.
jump out to Tampa. Yeah, we gotta be at the airport like 5 a.m. It is what it is. But got anything cool happening?
Coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our next blank drop, which is Monday.
I will say the apparel, bro, is sick. Because I saw it whenever it came down before you guys started putting it out. Dude, definitely.
Yeah, and then later this month, early July, we have the chocolate covered pretzels coming out. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, I've been seeing those on my stories forever.
Well, so I got a surprise, like first taste of them.
yeah,
Oh, today?
No, at the Arnold.
Yeah,
because
a while ago,
I walked down. It was our first time meeting. I actually because there was so many people in the meetings, I didn't know like exactly who. Like I knew who you were, but I didn't know the exact name. So I walked in the lobby. I was like, oh shoot. But yeah, we got the first taste, and
I think that was our first time tasting them too.
yeah. I think it was everybody's first time tasting them.
yeah, so then you filmed me tasting them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are they just hard to dial in?
they're fire. Oh, these are the pretzels.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
I
the
mean,
process of making those.
I think one of the bigger issues we had was that the viscosity of the chocolate, putting it on the pretzel, it was either too thick or too thin. So really just nailing that down, obviously with the protein blended in there, it's a little difficult. But once we got that like going, we were smooth sailing. But yeah, in the beginning it was a little rough. So got it nailed down though. So
Sweet.
yeah,
When's that coming out?
late,
Is that public information yet? or-
yeah, late
Okay.
June, like early July. So
Sweet.
yeah, couple weeks. Yeah,
Let's
Couple
go.
items suck.
No, yeah.
Food's hard.
Yeah.
But
Keep it good, and make sure it actually can last.
yeah.
You doing anything fun? I feel like Mook's always chilling, bro. He's just
usually just chilling, bro.
There's a fine line between chilling and fucking absolutely cooked.
Yo, so-
It's that.
It's either one or the other.
that's hilarious.
I'm chilling right now.
Aren't both
Yeah.
pretty much chilling?
What's that?
When you say he's cooked, like
No, you just can't tell. Pretty much.
You just can't tell.
When I'm cooked, I say negative words, and when I'm like chilling, I say a lot. Our ADHD is bad, so we make a lot of noises. So if I'm not cooked, I'm making a lot of like weird noises.
Yo, it's so funny. That's sick. All right, well, let's. You want to wrap it up? You want to do a little outro? You want me I got the mic. So, all right, boys. Yeah, I guess peace. It was a dope podcast. We'll actually we'll have to do a part 2 because there's way more things to like talk about, like crafted creative, the project we can't talk about.
That stuff is.
No, I'm saying about like
That stuff I'm working on.
yeah, I'm saying like part 2
Yeah.
might be something
I'll be
later
back
on.
down here soon.
Definitely. Heck yeah. All right. Peace, guys.